Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 120 of Coffee with Cramer and Colleen. And look who I have, ladies and gentlemen. The mystery lady herself, Colleen Schaefer, in the virtual house.
It does. She does exist. She does exist.
Well, cheers to you, Colleen. Welcome for joining in. I know you've been busy out and about doing all those types of things.
I don't know what you can see, but
I see you
anyway,
got your
yeah,
holiday llama.
I do. I have my holiday llama, and guess what I put in with my coffee today? I don't know
Ooh, a
if you can
little
see that,
hot
or I'll
chocolate, a
show you.
little cocoa.
Yeah, it's good stuff too.
Oh,
It's like a Williams Sonoma thing.
oh yeah, that's delicious.
That's the good stuff. So
Yes.
I'm not alcohol this morning, but I am decadent.
Well, I missed you yesterday. Some of the people that we know are on the old social media webs. We were toting toting a little older wines last night.
Yeah, I always miss the fun stuff, but there's a reason I'm old. No.
Well, there's a reason we're all told, and that's a little bit why we're here today, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So, Colleen, thanks for joining in today. I think it's important that you're here. You're going to be here, a little bit this week, a little bit next week, as we kind of wrap up 2020, talk about 2021. So, cheers to those out there today joining us on today's
Yeah.
episode.
There you
If
go.
if you're new to the show, do us a big favor, hit the like button, let us know you're here. If you got a mug, you got a llama full of hot chocolate, take a photo, throw it up there. We love to see you. But yesterday the old Gov kind of decided to go be on TV yesterday in the afternoon and gave us some updates about what's going on with COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and as much as I'd love to say it was such a great speech and time, and we're still in it.
right. Yeah, exactly. And we're here. You and I were chatting about this before we hopped on the show. And I think the most at the very least, our key is to provide people with the news and the information so they can know what to do with it and how it can or how it can affect them here in the real estate market.
I think the thing that you and I talk about most is delivering the information
Yeah.
and then allowing people to respond to it the way it affects them and the
Yes.
way they feel about it. It's factual. This is what it is. Because nobody has a crystal ball, and you can go so far one way of scaredy cat and so far the other way of poo pooing it. But the truth of the matter is, this is where we are. That's all.
Exactly. This is where we are. How do we, for better or worse, roll with the punches? Is this advantageous to some people? Is this not advantageous to some people? That's for each situation.
Yeah. I mean, predictability is not there. Opinions are there.
In droves.
Plenty of them.
Absolutely. So let's dive into this. So the governor yesterday came on the news to provide a little state address with regards to COVID-19. And a few weeks ago he implemented the most recent updates with regards to a little more stringent mask wearing, capacity limits, especially at bars and restaurants, being limited to 25%. And those were going to go for through 3 weeks, sort of like take us through Thanksgiving into the middle of the month. Well, that 3 week period was set to expire on Tuesday, so he updated, excuse me, some of those through those mandates now through January 15th. So what we know is in place will carry through the holidays through mid-January.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, though, too, the big change, which again this is more directly real estate related, is their implementation of a new moratorium on evictions for renters going through March 31, 2021. That's the biggie.
Right. But we talked about clarifying what that really meant.
Yes.
And as far as it's not a continuum or it's not a blanket, if you will, nobody can get kicked out no matter what. That's not the case, correct?
Well, yes, exactly. So it will prevent, it will not prohibit certain evictions. So like it's, if there's unlawful activity, if there's breach of a lease agreement, but what it does cover is non-payment.
Right. If you
And
are in a place where you cannot pay your rent, and that's due to COVID.
Yes.
And you have to prove that it's due to COVID.
Yeah, and also too, you will work with your landlord to affect repayment. It is not waiving this. It is just being not evicted, but there will still be a balance or something you will negotiate with your landlord to resolve for this period of non-payment.
It's not erasing the debt completely. We don't know what that looks like as far as how much, how, terms and conditions. We don't know, but it's not saying you don't owe any rent and never will owe them anything for the time that you're there living for free.
Exactly. And so this is sort of a restart from the one that started back in March of this year and went through, if I believe correctly, end of September.
There was one from September till now, right?
Well, they started firing up the eviction processing. Or no, it was so it was late in the fall, because they were moving those dates around. I know it was originally going to be end of August. They then extended it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And while that was going on, and I think this is a good separate item, is the CDC at a national level came out with its own moratorium requirements. So there's a lot of these little moving parts going on. But at one point in time, Nevada had this blanket restriction on evictions for non-payment. That was lifted. Evictions started happening again, started being processed. Doesn't necessarily mean people have been what those eviction numbers look like right now. And they're, those are starting to come together. Meantime, there was a CDC program in place. However, that was a little more limited. It was not a blanket, a broad spectrum or broad range eviction on non-payment. There were some things you had to meet in order for that CDC moratorium to kick in. However, now the governor has announced, as of yesterday, this new moratorium going through March 31.
So March 31 here in Nevada, because the CDC is generally everywhere. Yep. For our state, he is extending that moratorium, not giving everybody a get out of jail free card, so to speak. It's not erasing debt. It's not saying you won't owe any rent ever. We'll start over in March. It's just stating you cannot be evicted for not being able to pay your rent due to COVID.
Yes. And a lot of that had to do with, they were using it. I wouldn't say using. I don't want to say using. They were stating this in the context of COVID-19 because they were afraid that evictions, if they were going to creep up in the amount that they were looking at, and also due to the current situations of either unaffordability, due to job loss, things of that nature, could this also provide an adverse effect on the COVID numbers and infection rates versus people that are able to stay in their residence or place of residence through early next year to where the curve is coming down. Apparently in certain parts of the state, a little more rural areas, they're starting to see a little peaking of the COVID infection rates. However, they're definitely worried here about Clark County. So they were worried about these people moving in and out, and also possibly people moving into shelters where there may be, needing for homeless there already versus people that could possibly stay in their places for a few more months while this downtrend, while we're going through this current COVID surge.
Well, it was interesting because part of it that I read said, number one, there was a study done University of Washington, I think it was, but it's interesting that said 75% of Nevadans were wearing a mask. Said they were.
Yes, congrats.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's good.
What the governor said was if we could get that to 95%, we would see enough improvement to get us through to where we wouldn't have these spikes and we would be going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So it's basically, if you look at that 75 to 95%, to me, it's like, wow, that 20% is a pretty big spreader.
Yeah, so, and it definitely said that they could impact the mortality, the mortality levels.
Yeah.
a fair amount from those.
How many people were dying, and to me that indicates as well putting reining in the spread, because the understanding is you're catching it, it's spreading. Those two go hand in hand, and with masks, they think that would reduce that. So to me, it's just the answer is the more we adhere to the masks. Again, this is just how it's not an opinion, it's almost a logic to me. Then that could be a way we could kind of get ourselves back to a place where we need to be in as far as safety, because I think that they had said something about Thanksgiving. They expected a surge within 2 weeks after, and that's what we're seeing.
Exactly, that's what we're seeing now. The good news is it looks like the first batches of the vaccines are starting to roll out to the states. They're saying that apparently maybe by Wednesday this week, first responders, nurses, things of that, people in various tiers will begin to receive the vaccine. And we don't necessarily want to get into the details of that, because there's definitely different I guess the Pfizer one is the first one out, and there's certain requirements there, and then as they release the other vaccines, there's different situations.
I don't work on those kind of engines. I'm not smart enough. There's too many moving parts.
But we'll work on the real estate part. So the other thing too, this is important, and we talk about this. So we know the governor has put through the moratorium, effective. It goes into actual effect Tuesday, December 15th at midnight. So when it goes 12 o'clock midnight on the 15th, through March 31, the new moratorium will be in place. That being said, if you are in a situation where you're unable to make payments for your rent and need to work with your landlord, you're highly encouraged to get out and do so. And then also, too, there are several rental assistance programs that may be available to you. Now, we're going to put the link from the announcement press release from the governor yesterday on our post today, as well as the CDC post. But the big thing about the rental assistance programs that are out there, they're coming from federal government funds, and they're part of the CARES Act, and those are set to sunset at the end of this month. So there may still be funds and monies out there. I was speaking with somebody recently. They're in a condo. They're in a situation due to their business downturning because of this changes. They're needing to reprioritize. Well, the good news is they're filing some paperwork where they're able to get some federal relief or federal assistance for rent during this period. So that is something worth looking into.
Right?
What's that?
Correct. The landlords may know how to assist you, because that's their benefit as well.
Correct.
I mean, if money's coming in, it may not be all of it, but am I correct in that money doesn't go directly to the person? It goes for the rent.
I think some of them are going through the rent, and there are different levels of programs available, and it may be just on how you meet various requirements, things of that nature. So, and if you're in a situation, definitely reach out to the landlord. In some situations that are probably a little more resource, let's say a property management company or a complex, they may already have some of those answers already in place with you. If you are dealing with a single tenant landlord, definitely look towards a couple of resources. If we have some additional resources, we'll put some of those links up there for you as well. But there are situations where they're definitely encouraging those that fall into this category to go out and look for those, because there are dollars out there that could help you through this issue.
Yeah, it's a tough time for everybody. There's no right answer. I mean, it's hard for the people. There's nothing that's easy.
No, exactly, and it's been a wild and wacky world here in real estate, just like every other parts of the economy here in Las Vegas. But it's keeping all eyes and ears open, I think, is definitely the best course as we continue to work through this.
Right. And so we basically mask up. That's what I do. And I think the answer for me anyway is if the economy and if this is what it takes, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, etc., try it. Let's see what I mean.
Try it. You might like it.
I know we actually do in our house
Yeah.
wear masks when we're around anybody.
Oh,
And
sure.
it's just there's a lot of different reasons. But again, it's it's back, I guess. It's flu season. It's winter time. It's what they expected. It's everything's closed up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of an interesting reasoning behind the effect of closed doors and windows. The AC is not running the air through the house the whole time. You're not spending as much time outside. Everybody's in smaller areas, warmer.
Yep.
So it's a breeding ground.
Exactly. And so, again, do the best you can with regards to safe practices. I know yesterday went over a little shout out to fellow business networking group Junk Luggers, and more on them we've got them actually coming on the show next week. They were doing a Toys for Tots event, and Toys for Tots is a big Marine Corps program during the holidays, so dropping off a toy, hey, got the mask on, and we chatted, made sure we kind of kept her about 6 to 8 feet apart spacing there, and just had a little catch up in conversations while still being able to partake in some of these charitable events during the holidays. And I know you were busy with some programs last week with regards to getting, especially some people that are in either, was it in nursing? You tell us a little bit more about that.
It's a hospice home.
Hospice,
yeah,
okay.
It's a hospice care. And it's taken up a lot of time, but it's been wonderful. There are 170 residents there, and that does change on a daily basis, fortunately or unfortunately. And so they were in need of some new things because none of these people can have their family come see them. None of them. And we have to have everything delivered to them on the 18th at the same time to one person. I think the news is going to cover it because it's been such a success. But basically, they needed, blankets and socks and robes and jammies, but they had to be specifically soft, and they had to be specifically lightweight for jammies, and men and women, all of those things. So I've managed to round up 100 pairs of men's fleece socks and about 10 blankets, and I'm still working on. We need men's robes and we need men's pajamas because people were very good about sending pajama pants, but they need tops.
Need tops.
So.
Need tops as well.
So we're working on it. That's by the 18th on Friday is when we deliver everything all at one time. So, and the other charity that I'm really wanting us to kind of follow this year too is the Nevada Project for Homeless Youth. It's PHY. There are a lot more homeless youth than we think. So,
and we're
it's
also
that time.
Exactly. We're also, I know you're in chat with them. Hopefully too, we can get them on an upcoming Coffee with Cramer, talk a little bit about their program as well.
Very much working on that. So, I mean, COVID makes you stay home more. So basically a lot of this stuff is telephone and computer.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so it's been kind of fun.
Yep. So what's interesting, we got moratoriums in place, but as we're dealing market's still going pretty busy. We have more houses in escrow than we do have available for sale.
Yeah.
Especially up to from the baseline all the way up to the $500,000 segment. I mean, by several hundred homes more so, and even when we go up tier, there are still we're still showing strong demand across all the pricing spectrum. We're also seeing a lot of rentals. We've got a client. They've got a rental in a 55 plus age community, and that's seeing a lot of demand. So again, it's interesting how this while we have restaurants at 25% capacity, we have eviction moratoriums, we have other components of our economy still showing strong demand.
Yeah, it's kind of contradicts itself. Do you know what I mean? You kind of look at it, you go, I don't have an answer for anybody as far as what the real thing that's going to happen. Nobody does, but it's still moving.
Yep.
Things are still happening, like you said. The 55 and over, the client that we have, this is their, I don't remember how many houses they've done this with, but the idea is it. We haven't had any trouble renting them.
No, exactly.
You know, buying them, renting them. Um, so, the hesitation that you might think in getting into a rental situation where you purchase something for investment, we have people that are renting.
Yep. There's still quite fair demand.
Yeah.
All things being considered, and too, a lot of it too also looks like probably a stronger migration numbers out of let's say out of California into Las Vegas than we normally see. I mean, we do see normal migration from
Mm-hmm.
California, from other coastal cities, especially coastal states and cities, to Las Vegas, due to economics. But I think that number is increasing, at least here in the near term.
Very much so, because people, again, if they were on the fence, as far as, I don't know, I love it here. I know it's a lot of taxes and there's a lot of the traffic and there's all with COVID restrictions. Number one, they can get an unbelievable place here that has everything they need to work from home.
Yes.
And then the secondary issue is there's a lot of taxation that's going on there too, that's new or that's planning to be, or, and prices have just gotten to a point where it just kind of makes sense. We're easy. They can get back and forth to California, no problem. And
Mm-hmm.
our it's just a really good place to live, and they haven't really changed too much in their demographics as far as where they live.
Yeah,
So
their lifestyle.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
especially if you're coming out of West Los Angeles, coastal areas. I mean, between amenities, facilities, things of that nature, Las Vegas is able to meet quite a bit of that. Even though we're in this little weird period, that will hopefully, once the vaccines are more rolling out across the population and the numbers go down and restrictions ease, which is probably looking like into the first few months of the year, maybe into the middle of the year. That's certainly the sign of daylight. Hopefully daylight at the end of the tunnel.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
again, Vegas has always been a good place to live, as
mm-hmm.
far as that goes, and if you compare cost and et cetera, and ease of operation. And now we do have a lot to offer people that even go up to the Bay Area. If you want to go up Northern California all the way down, it's how much you can get and what you can get for the amount that you have to pay to be there. And then
Absolutely.
quality of life, as far as being able to say we have a really good quality of life because we have the space that we need, or we have the ability to do the things we want to do with our children, as opposed to one on top of the other and really not being able to go outside.
Exactly. So, Colleen, next week we're kind of chatting about this. We wanted to kind of do a little year end and
Yeah,
2021 kind of chat as to what we think is going to happen. Uh,
yeah,
we're both going to bring our crystal balls or our magic 8 balls.
and take it for what it's worth. No, seriously, we will.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
we'll chat about it.
so to everyone out there, if you are in a situation where you do have some questions about, if you're in a tenant situation, you're concerned about rental, having to go, reach a point where you may not be able to make your rental payments, have questions, reach out to us, message out to us. We'd love to answer those questions for you. Like you said, we're going to put up the links to the recent press release from the governor, the CDC information, and also too, if we have any other links to some rental assistance programs, provide those as well. So that way, if you are a tenant or if you are a landlord for that matter, you have the news and information you need to either from a tenant standpoint work with your landlord, or from a landlord standpoint work with your tenant as
Mm-hmm.
to how we all get through this.
You would be a good person as well, myself included, but I defer to you. If somebody's interested in finding out about the investment properties rentals, what that particularly has looked like for us in the last 8 months.
Absolutely. And, as you know, we have a large segment of our client base
Yeah.
are focused on rental income properties, investment properties. A lot of them, mostly for rentals. The fix and flips are a little different situation right now, but
Yeah, very much so.
uh,
But 1031 exchanges or somebody that has some even the ability to borrow money at
yeah,
the low rate that it is right now, rentals, the income is there because most of the people that are renting aren't getting ready to be using that moratorium. If they're not part of that desire, that need. These are people that are just wanting something to rent, whether it's visiting here from another state to see what it's like, to see if they like it, to have whatever the rental might be for. So anyway, it's just an interesting seeing if it's a fit for someone if they're looking for some kind of an investment property um, here.
absolutely, no question about it. So, well, Colleen, I appreciate you joining into today to the Monday episode 120 of Coffee with Kramer and
120.
Colleen.
Choo-choo, go down.
Cheers to you out there today. And for anyone that has any questions about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, do us a big favor. Reach out to Colleen or myself. You can go to our website, vegashomesnv.com, and take a look to see what we have available for sale, both on our portfolio. We have a great house in the Northwest with RV parking, a place for horses available. That's Colleen's listing. She also has a listing for some vacant land for people that are building some custom homes over there in the Henderson area, and also too, our broader search tools on available homes for sale in the Las Vegas Valley. Also too, you can message us through social media, reach out to us. If you like what you're seeing here, hit the like button. We appreciate you tuning in. And on behalf of Colleen and myself, thanks for tuning in today. And more now than ever, your real estate experience matters. So we're here for you as your resource for anything on buying, selling, or investing in Las Vegas real estate. Till next time, have a great week. We'll catch up to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.